Hello, I'm Martin Kelly, Senior Editor of Friends Journal, and this month we're doing an Experience of Friends of Color. It's the October 2014 issue, and one of the articles is called On Being Good by Sharon Goens-Bradley, and we have her here on the video chat. Sharon is the director of the Healing Justice Program for the American Friends Service Committee, and she's based in their Twin Cities office. So thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks for inviting me to be on the chat with you.
Sure, and your article talks about the sort of the negative side of always trying to be good and seeing ourselves as being so good that we can't see some of the ways we aren't good. So tell me, you told a story about a family whose the boys were all getting into trouble and doing all sorts of harassment of neighbors, and they couldn't see that as a problem though. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, so one of the things that happened several months ago is I was part of a restorative justice circle, and a family in a nearby suburb had been being harassed for about 2 years from a group of high school boys. So the family was biracial. It was a black father and a white mother and their two kids. And then there were several teenagers who thought it was fun to bug them at all hours of the day, whether it was throwing bottles of pee on their yard or calling them in the middle of the night. And the experience of the family really was one of terrorism. They weren't sleeping, they were feeling like they were under target, and when the issue came to the light of the police department and the boys were talked to about this, then they became targets within their whole community, that people would point at them and talk about them and laugh at them and tell them that they were overreacting. And so it really was a very emotional experience for the family who was targeted. But when we held the restorative justice circle with the majority of the families who were involved, they were not willing to look at the racial dynamics of what was going on. And they were really persistent in saying how good their sons were and how their sons were just being juvenile, and everybody does this and everybody experiences this. So they really missed the chance to listen and hear how much they had hurt a family in their community, and then there was no opportunity for real healing to happen.
Right. It's it's hard to hear these things. We're seeing a little bit with the reaction to the current issue, where some people will be focused on one article and not see that there's a whole range of stories that have a lot of similarities. You talk a little bit too about your own personal family dynamics and how this sort of can reflect some of this too, where and share as much as you want, but that there are some people who are seen as the good children and the bad children, and parents will listen to them more than others. How does that play out in these kind of when we start talking then about race in communities, or our own communities, or the larger communities, places like Ferguson?
Well, I think that it plays out quite a bit. I, talked a little bit about my family experience, because anytime I feel like I'm challenging people to look at themselves, then I want to do the same thing. And I want to think about what is it in my life and where are the experiences that I've had where I feel like I haven't really wanted to look at what was going on. And how did that impact like my broader family, and this had decades of consequences. I feel like in my family, where there was this power dynamic with me as the good child and my sister as the not so good child, and I think there's long-lasting, lifelong feelings that come from that, and then it's hard to have a really good relationship as siblings when that kind of thing is going on. There have been a lot of things going on in Ferguson, and I recently was looking online and seeing how the protesters were treated by some of the Cardinals fans at a baseball game, and people yelling out things about just a total lack of empathy about the situation with Mike Brown. And I feel like that really is the same sort of thread that I'm talking about. It's that judgmentalness of, we don't have to look at what's going on with you. We don't have to really think about, why is this happening to you or to your community. We'll just see ourselves as good and put you down as someone who's less than and not deserving, and then we can treat you as we want to treat you.
Sure. Do you think there's or how would it look? You talked about how you brought the families together in that one circumstance and brought them to talk about it, and it sounded like it actually may not have quite worked out as well as you might have liked. But what if we were trying to get everyone together in Ferguson or in even our own Quaker meetings that might be having struggles? What would that kind of a healing process work, and how would you start to approach that?
The approach that I really like to take with people is, I really like people to focus on the systems that are involved and take it out of the personal realm, because I think that it's really the structural and the systemic issues that got us where we are right now. So I have found that if people can look at, like, the history of race in our country, for example, and the ways that things were set up in an unfair way to work for some people and not for other people, then it's not so much a personal issue, and it's not so much about something that you did wrong as a white person, but more of, hey, we were born into this unfair system, and what can we do about that? So I'd like to have people have that sort of an overview. And then I think talking to them about really listening and really trying to open their hearts and hear what somebody's trying to tell them. One thing I didn't mention in the story I wrote is, I do think there was one parent out of all of those parents that we saw that did that and had a transformative experience during that circle. She was really able to hear what it had been like for that family, and I think that it probably changed her and her attitudes toward her son and some of their subsequent conversations.
Okay, so even if it may not work all the time, having individual lives change like that can be still well worth it, obviously. Great. Well, I think that's about all the time maybe we have, unless you have something else you wanted to share. And of course, there's lots of comments online and stuff that people can be sharing as well. Any final thoughts, Sharon?
Well, the only thing I would add is that this whole article came about because I was thinking about, actually, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman and what happened, a year or so ago, and was reading something in my local paper where a juror said, I think his heart was in the right place, talking about George Zimmerman. And it really got me thinking about all the times that our heart, might be in the right place because we're trying so hard to be good, that we're actually causing tons and tons of irreparable damage. So then it just really had me encouraging people to start to look at those things, ways that they do that in their own lives.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that, and definitely has made me think, and all of us face this in one realm or another, I think. So thank you for sharing it there with our readers. And again, everyone, it's available here, the October issue of Friends Journal, and Sharon's article is online, and you can read it and comment on it and listen to it as well, and now watch this video interview. So thank you very much, Sharon, for being with us.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.